Hello. Um, let me get off the actual stream. Uh, so yeah, um, I made an album, uh, or released an album, I guess, is the proper term. Uh, I'm just gonna get rid of. Ooh, oh no, no way that. Let's just have this in the foreground for a little bit. And, let me just, okay. Hello. I'm eating my lunch, as well. Drinking some water. Because water is good for you. And I have a pretty sore throat. For no real reason. I was gonna do, I'll make sure chat's, enabled. Seems to be. So yeah, basically, ask the question. I'll actually go, oops. This is probably better, having like the actual stream up. Let me also share this on Twitter. What made me decide? I wouldn't say it's it's a matter of decision. It was more so what would the subject matter be. So, hold on, let me just. So yeah, it was really just the subject matter. I think it was. I know there were a couple songs written on there. Let me get the. Let me actually get the album up because I have a playlist of all the songs. So empty, him, take this for the pain, and shadows were all. Thank you, Chef. Those are all written for another album that I had. It was called, what was it called? What Could Have Been. and this was like a concept album about this. Well, I'm gonna spoil this thing that I was going to make, but probably never will, because I just wasn't really interested in making it anymore. But basically, the whole thing was about it's like this. It's about this trans girl who commits suicide, and the aftermath of her boyfriend, who has to deal with the pieces, and it was going to be like this like thing where it'd be like, oh, it's bad to kill yourself. You know, it was a very anti-suicide message at the very end of it. So it wasn't like a glorifying thing. It was like it was a condemnation of it, which I think it was more of a message for me than than um, than anybody else. But yeah, and so I took some of that stuff and I took some Take This for the Pain and Him are largely I think they're pretty much all unchanged. Sorry, I have sniffles. Ugh. Don't pay attention to my gross paper towel. Can you hear? Okay, you can hear me. Good, good. I was worried, but no. Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, Empty was actually written before I had the concept for that album. So really, Empty was made to fit into that narrative. As I always envisioned Empty as the opener to whatever album I was going to make. So it was the album opener on this one. It would have been the album opener on what could have been. But ultimately, I strayed away from the idea of a concept album where it would like tell the cohesive story, because I feel like I'm just not very good at it. I'm good at like sectioned storytelling in music. I'm not good at like interweaving a narrative through music without like dialogue in between the music. Talking about musicals. But yeah, I'm just that was the process. And this album mainly came about because I was just I was tired of working on this and what could have been came about because I was tired of working on just score stuff and I wanted to do more stuff, and then I did. Yeah, that is literally it. Well, I don't really have favorite and least favorite, but let me see. Let me see here. I can tell you the one that I am just I'm a fan of all of these. I think these are all good songs. I don't think there's a single bad song in the album. But the one I think is the weakest writing wise is probably Legend of the Godslayer. Solely because I see your question, chat. I'll answer after this one. Solely because that is the oldest song in the album. I wrote that song in the summer of 2017 when I was 16, Uh, so there's a lot of and it's unchanged. It is completely unchanged. There is nothing different aside from the mix and the instruments I recorded it on. Uh, and I added a synth solo, but I mean, I just kind of did that because I thought it was lacking in something before the guitar solo. Uh, and in terms of like cool music stuff, I mean, obviously, the song Euphoric Dreamscape is neat in the sense that it's like 5 songs put together into one song, which has its own like baggage in my musical history of listening to songs of that kind of style. Um, but in terms of like the one I'm the most proud of songwriting wise, I think Take This for the Pain, because it has like the most. That's the one I thought about the most when writing it. That's like, okay, so this chord leads to this chord, leads to this chord, leads to this chord, and basically none of it was like just spur of the moment, like, oh, this sounds good. All of it was like created in a lab, created in a lab music, uh, where it was just kind of like, oh, okay, so if I play this here on the guitar, and I play this here, play this here, play this here, this should sound good, and it did. Yeah, and I will say, in terms of songwriting, Take This for the Pain. In terms of like transitions, I really well, usually in Euphoric Dreamscape, like it's usually just like silence into the next section. But for the fourth and fifth section, I wanted to have a little interlude in between them. Sorry, I'm uh, sorry about that. So I decided to do like a little. That was like, I think that might have been the last thing I added on the album was that interlude between the fourth and fifth sections of Euphoric Dreamscape. Where it goes ba oh ba ba oh ba ba oh ba, and there's like a whole thing where it's like, oh, is it like transitioning into the Dorian mode of D? No, it's going back to A minor. Sorry, I was speaking theory. D, Dorian, and A minor are technically the same key, by the way, but you gotta get that G sharp in there to make sure people know you're in A minor. And that's what the purpose of staying on that G sharp was to really hammer home, okay, we're going back to A minor. So, yeah. My back is itchy. Sorry. I'm gross. I'm a gross human being. What are you gonna do about it? Why the name Euphoric Dreamscape specifically? So this all stems back, way back. Oh my god. Okay, tangent, but like I have like this, like the water enhancer stuff, and like I put it in my drink, put it in my water, and it sprayed everywhere. It's on my blinds, so it just looks like blood. It's straight up the color of blood, and that's not good. So Lightforks, Dreamscape specifically. So imagine, if you will, go back to five years ago in 2016, October 2016. Water enhancers are a thing. I agree. but just wow. So in the fall of 2016, I tried to write songs for the first time. These songs were not good. I wrote 5 songs. I think it was one of them was named Facade of Destiny, because I was an edgy atheist who was like, God. Another one was named, like, Y-O Utopia. Ugh. Like, Utopia. Cringe. The last one was named, Constant Pain, which the motif of the ba-ba-da-da, like that was adapted into the song Euphoric Dreamscape as the main motif in that. And the I can't remember the other one's name, but the last one was named Euphoric Dreamscape. So it's been a song, it's been a title I've had in my mind forever. Basically, I knew if I were going to make an album, it was going to be called Euphoric Dreamscape no matter what. Like, I've had this name in my head for 5 fucking years now. High Rocks. So yeah. And specifically it's named that because of... Well, really it was named that, and then I came up with the symbolism behind it later on when I was writing the lyrics for the song Euphoric Dreamscape. Oh, why the picture? Because I look fucking hot. Yeah. And the weird thing about this cover actually is this is the second version. I don't know the first version because I overwrote it with this version on my PC. But the original was the same thing, but I went back in and I added an oil painting effect to make it look spotty. And like in the original one, basically the idea behind it was like, the idea behind the cover was like looking at something through 3D glasses. So like red and blue and green. So like I overlaid 3 pictures of myself bathed in red, blue, and green light, and basically just like messed with opacity and color burning and layer effects and all that stuff. And then when it came to the text, I did the exact same thing. So it came off as like purple, but there's a little bit of green underneath the purple, and there's a little bit of like blue underneath the purple. But with the way the cover is now, you can't really see that because the oil painting effect hides it, and I prefer it like this because it makes it feel more scattered, and it makes it feel more like esoteric. And I think that's the general vibe of the album I wanted to have was esotericism? Is that a word? Esotericism? Esotericism. No, esotericism is a word. So apparently the term esoteric means, like, has a religious context that I was not aware of. So I'm fucking scared now. Because the 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 definition in my head was always like scattered thoughts, like that kind of thing. You know, just kind of like weird vibes going out all throughout it. Um, yeah, 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 yeah. So, you have any more questiones. Now is the time. Oh, distraction. That one. That was one of the last ones I wrote for the album. You can kind of like hear where my influences are throughout the entire thing, but really, distraction was. Well, I'll start with the lyrics first, because the music is easier to explain. Um, the lyrics are basically just like whatever thoughts are in my brain. I just want to put them out into the world. Um, so that was it. Was basically just like just shitting out words, and um, yeah, that's where like the fast rap idea came from. It's just like I want to say just a bunch of fucking shit. I want to say a bunch of shit. So I said a bunch of shit. Um, I don't know if it's. I don't really know if it's meant to be particularly meaningful or like kind of like embracing stupidity. Really, it's up for you to decide that. But other than that, it's really just like here are my thoughts. I want to basically, basically my that was like putting my whole entire self into a song's lyrics. So like good or bad, that song's just me lyrically. Musically, it was. I don't know if you can tell, but it was inspired by Bo Burnham. uh, I wrote that. I think like a week after I wrote the instrumental. I wrote the instrumental like a week after watching Inside, and like fucking it was great. But like I was really interested in what he was doing musically as well, and I wanted to kind of see if I could emulate that in like a meaningful way, and that's where the idea of like a spoken word paragraph beneath the piano came in, and also I've been listening to just a bunch of musical theater right now, just a whole bunch. So that's probably also where the idea came from. So it's not yeah, it was not really an original idea. It was just kind of like, I gotta see what I can do with this kind of style, and I made it. But I did write the chorus for Distraction first. I did not write the verses were the second to last lyrics I wrote for the thing. The last lyrics I wrote were for the song Euphoric Dreamscape. I don't know if I let you know counselor. So as I affectionately call it, Loag, Loag, is I think it's the second longest song in the album too. That's crazy. That's, let me double check. It's 9:36. Yeah, it's the second longest. Only beat out my Euphoric Dreamscape. That's crazy. So Legend of the God Slayer was the oldest song in the album. I talked about this before on the stream, but I wrote it when I was 16. Lyrics, music, everything. And the only new thing I added to it now was that little synth solo interlude before the guitar solo, and I'm honestly really happy with how that turned out. I also added a little bit more clear transitions, just to flesh out the song a little bit more. But like the riffs and all that kind of stuff, that was all 16-year-old Ben. That was not 21-year-old Ben. So yeah, and if you want to talk about like the lyrics and stuff, it was basically, in my mind at the time, I thought it was gonna be like this huge like, oh, metal, fucking metal, and like a bunch of a huge subsection of metal people, or metal songs, or just like myths or like legends being retold through the guise of song. So that's what I did, and even though it's kind of like an original story that I made up with the whole like the son who has to beat up his stepfather who kills his mother, it was inspired by like I believe the myth of Perseus and Hamlet. Those were the two inspirations for the story. I think you can really tell, especially like the Hamlet stuff. I think is really obvious. But in terms of music, it was, I'm not even sure. I think it was, I was very much when writing it. I was very much like System of a Down kind of songwriting. And what System of a Down does is they have like one or two riffs for every song, and they will just repeat, then the song is over. And basically I wanted to see if I could do that for like 8 minutes. And like, do I have a pick on me? My desk is messy, so I can't really. It's gotta go. Hold on. That doesn't really matter. I have a guitar right next to me. But and like the thing for Legend of the God Slayer is probably the most the simplest but most efficient thing. It's just it's out of tune, but whatever. Just like that. So having like a pretty simple riff and just playing around with that and moving it around the guitar and seeing what I could do with it. No, actually, I remember this now. Back when I was writing that, I was really into drum solos. So the part where the synth solo happens in this version, originally in the original version, there was like a little drum solo, and boy, I don't like drum solos anymore. I love playing drums. Drums are my primary instrument, but boy, drum solos suck. Just absolutely, I really don't like them. So I replaced it with a synthesizer solo. So I think that means I think every song except for Take Away or Take This for the Pain has programming in it. Actually, Shadows. No, I don't think Shadows does. Shadows was all acoustic. So Shadows and Take This for the Pain are the two songs that have absolutely no programming involved. There was no digital instruments on those two. I know you would be thinking like, what about him? What about the folk song? Everything except for the drums and bass were artificial on that. Even the piano. I have a piano, but boy, can I not figure out how to record it. How did I get? You're gonna have to ask Brandon about that. No, the Brandon collab happened a fucking while ago, which is like, this album is not like songs that have been like, that have just been written like 2 days ago, you know? Like Escape has existed for a fucking long time. Winter of 2019 is when I read Escape. Yeah. Yeah, winter, my Christmas break, 2019 is when I wrote Escape. And basically, I think, no, that's what it was. I remember this. Brandon, I think, came to me, and he was like, do you have any, like, WIPs that we could, like, collab on? And I was like, boy, I got just the thing. So yeah, it was, I think he came to me about it. That sounds right. And I gave him the music for the song. and basically said just fucking like he basically I wrote it, he mixed it. That was the trade off. So yeah. Um, in terms of, I wrote all of the music for it. We traded solos on it. Brandon wrote all the lyrics he sings on his own. I wrote the lyrics I sing on my own and the choruses. Yeah. Like I talked to Brandon before that. It wasn't like a hi, hello, want to collab? It was not that. For one, I'm just not that kind of person. For two, what a shitty thing to do. I don't think I would ever like do that. Like even when I collab with her, I'm pretty sure I sent like at least one message before. It was like, "Hey, we'll collab." No, we talked before on Twitter. That's what it was. But I DM'd him. I think the first thing I said was like, "Do you want to solo on this thing I was working on?" Yeah. And who knows? There might be another Beowulf crossover in the future. Who knows? I know. I know if there will be or not. But believe it or not, I know things about my life. Somebody on Twitter asked me under the announcement for the album that I put out earlier this morning, like Ben, what are the lyrics to Vampiric Nobility? I don't even know. I found them actually. I found them in the original notebook I wrote them in. But man, I've gotten so much better at writing lyrics since 2019. I'm gonna say this is the last call for questions because it seems like it's dying down now. We got no more. I will humbly hit the end stream button. Alright. Well, it seems like there are no more questions, so I'm happy with the amount I got. So I'm going to end the stream, finish eating my lunch, and then go get drunk.